kids. I just have to say it has been one crazy day here at my house. I look pretty rough today. I'm in an old t-shirt. My hair's a little not fixed. I try to usually put on a nice shirt the day we do my Awana video, but it didn't happen today. It was crazy from the moment I woke up, and it's still crazy now, and so it's not happened today. But I have lots of things going on, and I wanted to tell you about. I have a funny story about today, but I'm not going to tell you about it right now. We'll tell it when we get back together. Like I said, it's been crazy here today, but I made it in time to make my video. But we've got lots going on today. We've got a story. I have a big video to show you, like a little movie that I'm going to attach, a cartoon thing about Jacob and Esau. I'm going to tell you about that. And also I have a project for you. So we're going to get right into our story, and we're going to talk about that, so then I can talk about all the other exciting things that I have planned for you to do. So we left off with Jacob and Esau, and they didn't get along. They were brothers. They were twin brothers. Now think about, we have Spencer and Hunter in church, and we have Morgan and Jordan in church. They're both two sets of twins, and we'll have to ask Spencer and Hunter if they're kind of like Jacob and Esau, or if they get along really good. But now Jacob and Esau, they kind of were at odds sometimes, and it wasn't one more than the other. It was, to me, as you read about them, it was two-sided. They neither one of them were innocent in what happened. But anyhow, so if you remember, Esau gave Jacob his birthright, and then Jacob and his mom tricked their dad Isaac into blessing Jacob. And so that made Esau so mad once that happened that he vowed to kill Jacob once Isaac died. And so we left off with Rebecca telling him he needed to leave. And so what happens is Rebecca goes and she talks to Isaac and says, and convinces him that Jacob needs to go and find a wife. And so he sends Jacob off to, let's see, let me pull it up here. And so, to thy mother's father is where it says that he sends to take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. And so Jacob goes to his uncle, is where he's going. And on the road, something very interesting happens. Now, we know from the very beginning that when, and I talked to you about this when we first started talking about Jacob and Esau, that when they were born, when Rebecca was pregnant with them, God told her that the second son would rule the first. And so she knows that Jacob is supposed to, and I think in my mind, she thinks he's supposed to get all that the firstborn is supposed to get. That's not what God really was meaning. He was meaning he was going to be the leader of Abraham's line of family, that land and all of that great nation that God promised Abraham. Jacob was supposed to follow in that path and be that line of people, if that makes sense to you. Because we get down here today and God's going to tell Jacob about this. And so I'm going to read this. It's just a few verses. I think it's just like about 15 verses. It's 5 verses. I'm sorry. It's not 15 verses. It's 5 verses. And it's in Genesis chapter 28. It's verses 10 through 15 is what I'm going to read to you. So if you want to get your Bibles out, I'll put all of our scripture that we're going to cover today and what I'm fixing to read in our description so that you can have it looked up and found before I read it here in the video. But it's Genesis chapter 28, verses 10 through 15. And Jacob went from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. It was dark. He couldn't go any further. He had to spend the night somewhere. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillow. So apparently he didn't have anything to sleep with, so he used a stone for his pillow. And lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed. And behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascended and descended on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land thereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. So where he's at, asleep, that's the land that God promised Abraham in the very beginning when we started learning about Abraham at that very beginning in Genesis chapter 12. This is that land. He's on it. And he's telling Jacob, this is going to be your land. This is what he promised Rebekah. This is what that he was talking about when he was telling Rebekah that the first son or the second son would rule the first son. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth. Remember, that's done. He's done said that once or twice already, that there's going to be so many of your people and your family, it's going to be like dust. You're not going to be able to count them. And thou shalt spread abroad to the west and to the east and the north and to the south. That's telling us they're going to be everywhere. And think about it now. Are we may not be blood related to that family, but as saved people, are you part of that family? I believe so. That's kind of how I see it. But even if you go down to like blood relatives, that Jewish nation that we talk about, there are lots of Jewish people in the United States. They're all over the world. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Do you remember what that blessing was? Who was going to be that person that was going to bless us all, that was going to come from Abraham and Isaac and now Jacob's family? You remember? It was Jesus. And behold, I am with thee, and I will keep thee in all places, whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. Do you know what that verse is? That verse 15, that's another promise that God gives to Jacob. He's given him the same promise he gave to Abraham. And he's giving him also, he's telling him, I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to be right here with you, taking care of you, guiding you, giving you strength, providing for everything you need. I'm not going to leave you. And so then as it goes on here, Jacob wakes up and he's like, oh my goodness, this is a special place. He realizes that this is a special place, and he says, if this is God's place. This is God's place. And so he immediately takes that stone that he was sleeping on and he sets it up and he pours oil over it. And I haven't researched this a lot, but I think this is something they did when they were worshiping and they were kind of building an altar. And I'll go back and I'll study that more. We'll talk more about that next week. So I've got that information for you. Ask your parents. If you want to know, ask your parents. And let them, and you guys study it too. But I will have that information for you next week. And so Jacob, he says, if God's going to do all this for me, then he's going to be my God. God, he's told me he's going to do all these things for me. And so the Lord shall be my God, and I'm going to follow him. And I have set a pillar that shall be God's house. So that stone, he's worshiping God there. And that's like he comes there to worship like we go to church to worship. And all that he shall give me, I will give the tenth unto thee. So he's saying all that God's promised me and give me, I'm going to give him a tenth of that back. So the important thing to remember here, God reveals his promise and his plan to Jacob here. But also, Jacob has to make a decision here as well. He can't just live off the fact that I'm Abraham's grandson, and so all of this that God promised Abraham, he's going to give to me because I'm Abraham's grandson. That's like saying because mom and dad are saved, I'm saved too, and I don't have to worry about anything. I'm going to go to heaven because mom and dad, they were saved, and so that counts towards me too. And we know that that's not right. and I kind of thought of it this way. God doesn't have any grandchildren. He only has children. We are his children. And so we all receive a part of that inheritance when we accept salvation. Um, and so that's kind of how I saw that when I was reading this, and I was thinking about Jacob and his responsibility that he had towards God, because God was taking care of him and providing for him, and he had promised, I'm going to give this to you. But Jacob, he had to make a decision here of, I'm going to live my life for God. I can't just live off the fact that Abraham is my grandfather, and so I'm okay, and I don't have to do the work. It's like being saved. Just because mom and dad saved doesn't mean that does not mean at all that you're saved and you're going to go to heaven. You got to take that and accept that, just like your mom and dad did, or your mama and papa, or your aunts and uncles, or your brothers and sisters, whoever you know out there that has been saved. Okay, so I'm going to leave off there. That was kind of brief. It wasn't a very long lesson. We've got one more lesson about Jacob and Esau, mostly about Jacob. The video that I'm going to leave a link for today, though, does the whole story of Jacob and Esau from when they are little to when Jacob returns back to his family in Esau. It's going to cover all of it. It's about a 20-minute video. I went ahead and give it to you today because then that way you could see some of next week's lesson, so you would kind of know what we're going to talk about next week. But and we may do things a little different next week. I will be sending information out about that in a few days. I'm working on, I've got an idea. I'll be honest with you, I love making videos, but I really want to hear you and talk to you. And so I'm kind of working on that. I'm working out, we may do like a Zoom game night. It's kind of my idea. So be waiting for information on that. I'll be getting in touch with all of my kids that I know I have class with. And we'll try to work out like if Wednesday night's not good for everybody, we may work on a different night of getting that together. But my project that I have for you. So back at the very beginning of Awana, and I know that Campbell and Camden, you weren't with us at the very beginning, so I'm going to talk about this again. One of the things that we do as Sparks, if you've got your hang glider book, get it out. Those of you, Campbell and Camden, like I know you don't have a book, I'm going to scan in the pages that we're going to be using so that you'll have copies of those. If you don't have a printer at home, Campbell and Camden, or anybody else, if you will let me know, and I will make copies and I will leave them at the church, or I can drop them off somewhere for you if you want paper copies. I know we've resumed kind of a church service at church, but I can leave those there at church if you're going to be there next Sunday for you, or if I'm going by your house on my way to mom and dad's, I can drop them off, put them in your mailbox or something for you. But let me know if you want a hard copy and I will print it off for you. But anyhow, if you want to get your hang glider book out and go to page 64 and 65, at the very beginning of our Awana program, I told you we were going to be doing lots of different things, and one of the things that we were going to be doing is learning all the names of the Bible. And here it is. Woo! It's here. It's hard to, okay, there it is. So we are going to start in the New Testament, not in the Old Testament, which I think is a little strange, but we're going to follow the book. And you have 8 books to learn, I think. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 8. Technically 7, because if you look right here, I'm going to get it up real close. 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, it's the same name. It's just a different number in the front. And so you've got 8, the first 8. And this is for this week. If you learn these and you memorize them, you can do a video of yourself. Have your mom or dad or brothers or sisters or mamas or papas or whoever tape you saying these and send it to us on our Facebook messenger page that we have for the youth. And I will have something for you special. It's a surprise. But what I did, and these that I'm waving up here in front of my face, is I made myself some flashcards with mine. And so I wrote them down so that I could walk around with them in my pocket and I could just go through them and say them. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans. And I did one card for 1st and 2nd Corinthians because that's how I'm going to learn it. 1st and 2nd Corinthians. I'm not going to learn it as 1st Corinthians, 2nd Corinthians. I'm just going to do 1st Corinthians or 1st and 2nd Corinthians. Also, something else that I thought of that some of you, if you're like me, I love music. Awesome loves music. And I can remember a song a lot quicker than I can like a poem. And it's because of the way our brain works. And so what I do with him, we're working on kindergarten sight words right now for next year. And so what I do with him is I give him 6 words, 6 or 7 words every week, and we make it into a song, and we sing the words first. And he can have like 6 or 7 words learnt, is that a word, in like 2 or 3 days, which is a pretty good deal, I think, for a 4-year-old. But that will also work for you all too. And so you can kind of turn this into a song. And so I've kind of made up a little song, and I'm going to sing it for you, to help you learn these. But you can make it up. You can like do it to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, whatever you want to. Happy birthday, whatever works for you. This is kind of how it worked for me. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians. And so there's your little song. And so once you get your song learned, you could just sing it in your head. You know how you get a song stuck in your head, and you just sing it over and over and over. And you'll have these learnt in like 2 or 3 days. No problem. But if you decide not to do this and you're like, well, I won't get a prize, why don't I do this? Don't worry, because we will work on this again when we get back to normal, and we get back to our normal Wednesday night. So if you don't have anybody to help you with at home, or you forget, or you're like, I'm having trouble with these, Miss Ramsey, I'm sorry, I'm reverting back to my teaching, Miss Ramsey. I don't have anybody to help me with these, Mary. You can wait, and we will work on these when we get back in normal, and we will work on these in class together. But I wanted to give you something to do and give you a challenge, because if you learn all of the New Testament books, and there are 3 sets in your book, you're going to get 3 sets. You got this set for this week. We have the 2nd set, and then the 3rd set. I will mail you something. It's a surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will have something to send you in the mail. A special package from your Wednesday night Awana teacher. I know if you're like me, I like to get mail that's gifts. I know Awesome really likes to get stuff in the mail. It kind of makes his day. So if you will work on these and get these learned, I will have something. But if you don't get them done before we get back, don't panic. Or if you're having trouble with them, don't panic and be like, I'm never going to get the prize. You will get an opportunity to get the prize. Can you say hi? Can you sit here and be really quiet while I finish my video? Hi. Now be really quiet, okay? I've got a song for all of the Bible books, or the New Testament Bible books that I'm going to link. I'm going to try to have an activity posted for you. But look for that in the description box in below. I see a lot of people, they'll point in the description box below on the YouTube video. But I know this has been crazy wild, but I promise you this has been like a crazy, crazy day at my house. And so I am crazy today. But I love you all. I miss you so, so much. I hope that you have a wonderful week. I hope to see you Sunday. Wave at me from your bench, and I'll try to wave back at you. But I will hope to see you soon. Love you. Bye.